What is going on, fam? What is going on? I'm Jay the Black. Salute to everyone that's tuning in. I see that there's some breaking news in regards to ESPN. Apparently, ESPN has parted ways not only with Jalen Rose, but they've also parted ways with Jeff Van Gundy after 16 years as an NBA analyst. Y'all know that ESPN is going through it right now. They have become a failed network. The years of embracing wokeness and not being very creative, not being able to fill the shoes of all the talented people that they have let go over the years or who have left over the years. This is why they're clinging on to Stephen A. Smith. They have not been able to really keep the course going because ESPN just isn't. It's not something that people care about anymore. I think there has been a lot of cord cutting, yes, but people still watch sports. They still watch the NBA. They still watch the NFL, baseball, and ESPN has deals with all of them. And they broadcast their games. They do very well, depending on if it's the playoffs. College football tends to do well throughout the season, not just during the college football playoff. I mean, college football and the NFL consistently does good for ESPN ratings wise. But other than that, their on-air talent have not been able to find their footing creatively. And I also think that you have a company that has just been on the decline. I remember when ESPN was really at their peak, I would say, to me, maybe not to y'all, to me, but between, I would say, 2004 and 2000 and let's say 12, 13 was when they really were at their peak. To me, when they were a must-watch network. But I think at certain points towards the end, it just became nauseating. Jalen Rose getting let go is surprising to me, but then it isn't. I want y'all to go back with me a couple of months. Y'all remember this? Do y'all remember this story? Now, this video clip went viral, okay? Video clip went viral, and it is of Malika Andrews talking about someone putting their finger in under her arm or something like that. There were a lot of people who were saying it was Jalen, but when I looked at the video clip a lot. And I thought she was talking to Richard Jefferson. Well, maybe she was, but now that Jalen Rose has been fired, because again, this whole thing was debunked about him actually getting fired back in March, right? But you fast forward to June, on the very day this article was posted or modified. It says March 30th. It might have been posted a little bit before that. It's June 30th now. He has been fired from ESPN. Jalen Rose is, to me, somebody who is, I think Jalen Rose is a very decent guy. I think he's done a lot for the city of Detroit. I think he has some flaws. I think he became a company man. I think he became a guy that was comfortable and he didn't want to challenge anything. And that's exactly why he's not there anymore. You see, when you don't have your own voice and you don't stand out, you're going to become expendable. And unfortunately, Jalen Rose became expendable. To them, I'm not saying to me, but to them, he became expendable. Also, you got to look at the Molly Karam effect. Molly Karam ain't going nowhere. As long as Stephen A. Smith is there as their top priority on their talent, Molly Karam is not going anywhere. Now, we don't know how things are behind the scenes, because when they first broke up and there were rumors that Molly Karam was secretly dating Stephen A. Smith, I've even spoken about it. This is only going to fuel the flames, because Jalen Rose recently subliminally dissed somebody and people thought that it may have been Stephen A. Smith. Looking at what happened now, because again, Jalen Rose is one of the most familiar faces at ESPN. And for them to just let him go like this, you got a lot of talentless people at that network. Why would you get rid of Jalen? You got a lot of people who are on that network who shouldn't be there. All right. But you get rid of Jalen. I believe there could be some tensions behind the scenes. I think there are some tensions between Jalen Rose and Stephen A. Smith because Jalen Rose, a couple of months back, subliminally dissed somebody on Twitter, and he never addressed it again. People were saying, well, you talking about Stephen A., you talking about Stephen A. He never denied it. He never denied it. This is only going to make the rumors about him, Malika, it's only going to make those rumors even stronger. Because again, you have a lot now. Again, he might be making. We're going to get into the article. He's probably making. I'm pretty sure he's making good money, and they want to cut those salaries. But they could have went to Jalen and asked him for a pay cut. This seems like a move to ease tensions, if you ask me. So let's get into this article from the Spun. It says the ESPN layoffs are ongoing and their NBA coverage is continuing to be hit hard. The latest NBA analyst reportedly on the outs is Jalen Rose. According to Andrew Marchand and Ryan Glasspiegel of the New York Post, Rose has been let go after a decade at the worldwide leader in sports. ESPN has let go of NBA countdowns Jalen Rose. The Post has learned Rose, who's 50, had been on ABC, ESPN's top NBA broadcast for a decade, which was especially impressive because of the amount of change the network has made over that time, the outlet reported. The writing may have been on the wall for this, given his diminishing role at the company recently. That's why I say, he had a show with another guy at the network. I don't know if they still kept doing that show. But he seemed like he was everywhere. He would be on First Take. He would be on some other shows as well. But again, after his divorce from Malika is when you started to see less and less of Jalen Rose. Now, people are going to say, well, Jay doesn't mean anything, could be a coincidence. There's no coincidences. Okay. I believe there are tensions there. And the fact that, again, you got all these other people with no talent. And I'm not saying Jalen Rose is the best on-air personality, but he's been there for a long time. He's a familiar face. He even has a second job at the NY Post. That's how much they think of him, right? But the fact that they're letting him go when there are clearly people there that won't be able to fill his shoes. Now, again, I've had my criticism of Jalen Rose. I'm not here as a Jalen Rose fan, supporter like that. But I'm just looking at ESPN as a whole. And they're getting rid of people who actually have followings that people actually like seeing on television. I don't think that some of the people that they're putting on TV, people care to see. But I believe there are tensions. Now, again, once Jalen Rose is gone, he's not going to hold back anymore. That's what ESPN needs to be afraid of. You're letting this guy go. He's not going to hold back. If there were issues going on with Stephen A. Smith, it's going to come out unless they have some sort of agreement where he can't disparage ex-employees or the company. Jalen Rose saw his show Jalen Jacoby with David Jacoby canceled at the end of 2022. So I guess that's what happened to that show. He also used to be a co-host on Get Up, but left when Mike Green became the show's primary showrunner. Once a member of the iconic Fab Five in Michigan basketball, Rose enjoyed over a decade an NBA player before retiring in 2007. Since then, he worked as an analyst for ABC and ESPN, developing his own entertainment company in his free time. So he's worked on his own projects. So you got to shout out to Jalen for building something on his own instead of just being an employee. Rose will have plenty to do even without ESPN paying his salary. I think Jalen Rose is going to be fine. He's a smart guy. I think Jalen Rose is going to be fine. But what we need to get to is the fact that I believe that there were tensions behind the scenes. People are gonna say no, there isn't. why was his role diminishing? They'd cancel this show, right? Less and less of him, to the point to where he's barely there, to where he's a guest on an NBA show with Malika Andrews and Richard Jefferson. Like, you know, what's going on there? Now, I haven't seen anything in regards to salary, so maybe it's not the salary. I think Jalen Rose is going to be fine, but I just want y'all to understand what's going on out here. Let's go real quick to Jeff Van Gundy. He's another guy that was let go. ESPN is a failing network. Let me just say that off. Let me say this because I don't want to do this video without putting that out here. ESPN is a failing network, okay? And they're only going to continue to fail because what you're going to have now, again, I could see if they feel like we don't need Jalen. We have guys there that can do what Jalen does, but I feel like those guys are going to get let go because ESPN has overextended themselves. This is not 2012. This is 2023, and people are just not interested in ESPN anymore. They have ran off people. You do have the cord cutting, but people only care about ESPN during the NFL season, maybe the NBA season, but no one really cares. Which is why they're cutting the NBA coverage. They're getting rid of 2 NBA analysts, which should show a lot of you NBA fans, they don't really care about the NBA product as much as they do the NFL product. All right. It says several big names are expected to be a part of ESPN's layoffs that would be revealed Friday. And the first 2 are well-known names in the NBA ecosystem. According to the New York Post, the network is letting go of top NBA analyst Jeff Van Gundy, part of the network's A-team, alongside play-by-play announcer Mike Breen and fellow analyst Mark Jackson. Van Gundy, a former head coach of New York Knicks, Houston Rockets, had been with ESPN since he left the bench. He developed a brand of being disgusted with NBA officiating, but also was a clear and effective communicator of a coach's decisions and responsibilities. The Post reported that ESPN is considering internal candidates to replace Van Gundy, who was making millions annually. Of course, he's a former NBA coach. Richard Jefferson. Again, Richard Jefferson has become their new star as far as the NBA coverage. Doris Burke, JJ Redick are all options per the report. Former Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Clippers, and Philadelphia 76ers coach Doc Rivers is another possibility for Van Gundy's replacement. According to an internal memo obtained by multiple news outlets, Friday, ESPN is undergoing a small group of job cuts in the short term and an ongoing focus on managing costs when we negotiate individual contract renewals in the months ahead. Given the current environment, ESPN has determined it is necessary to identify some additional cost saving in the areas public-facing commentary salaries, and the process has begun, the company said in a statement. This exercise will include a small group of job cuts in the short term and an ongoing focus on managing costs when we negotiate individual contract renewals in the months ahead. This is an extremely challenging process involving individuals who have had a tremendous impact on our company. These difficult decisions, based more on overall efficiency than merit, will help us meet our financial targets and ensure future growth. Among those affected, including longtime Sports Center anchor Neil Everett. This guy's been he's also been one of the noticeable guys over the years. Neil Everett, right? NHL analyst Chris Chelios and NFL analyst Rob Ninkovich. Additionally, ESPN is canceling its national morning radio show hosted by Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Max Kellerman, with the trio's fate at the network currently undecided. This is why a lot of you guys, when you work at ESPN for, more than 10 years, you better build your own brand. Stephen A. Smith has already started to do that. He got himself a YouTube page. He does live streams on YouTube. He's building his own platform, which he probably should have done years ago, but I think he sees the writing on the wall and he knows that there's a good chance he may not get that big contract from ESPN. So he's looking towards doing what Pat McAfee did and building his own platform to where people come to him offering him big money, right? as part of the parent company Disney's cost-cutting measures that would slash spending by $5.5 billion worldwide. ESPN looked at every part of its business, with departures in public relations and production teams, in addition to more front-facing talent. Gundy, who was 61, was 430 and 318 as an NBA head coach. Also talked about how Jalen Rose is out as well. People are going to say, well, this is no big deal. This is cost cutting. It's not that big of a deal. It happens. Okay, whatever. I know what I have seen. I know what Jalen has posted. I know him and Molly Karam together. Rumors of Molly Karam and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is constantly flirting with her. We can't rule that out, people. As much as y'all want to rule that out, you just can't. You just can't. But I do think that Jalen will bounce back. Jalen's a smart businessman. This will free him up to do the things he wants to do. I believe he's still doing his thing at the NY Post. He was the ultimate company man, and being the ultimate company man got him fired. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Like this video and share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll see y'all next one.